Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Gospel singer Joseph Habedank developed an addiction to prescription pills after taking them to treat an ulcer in his stomach. Well, after going to rehab, Joseph has been clean for a year and is now speaking out about overcoming addiction. And Joseph joins me right now in studio. Now, it's so odd when you talk about gospel singers and drug addiction. You just don't think those two things go together, but it's more common than we think, right?
You know, I think it is. It's really somewhat of an epidemic, I think, in the church. And it's crazy because now with illicit drugs, it's so easy to look at someone who has a problem with illicit drugs and say, oh, they're an addict.
Right.
Then you have people that are like us, working class people, who are struggling with this addiction because it's illegal. It's a legal drug.
It's a legal drug, and so nobody pays attention to it.
Nobody really, it's an easily justifiable thing.
Now, how did you get addicted to drugs?
I actually had an ulcer, and man, I actually just was introduced to two pills at the beginning. Took 2 pills, felt great. I loved the feeling of it, and then was introduced to oxycodone later on that week.
Really?
And it was very much a feeling of invincibility and just feeling like, you know, this personality that I did. I'm kind of an introvert, somewhat of a loner. And it made me outgoing and more talkative. And,
wow. And you like that feeling?
Absolutely, yeah.
How did you realize you were actually addicted?
Well, once I realized that it was overcoming my life, I was taking 10 to 12 a day, hydrocodone or oxycodone a day.
Wow.
And I was performing at night. And for a gospel singer, it's just so unheard of for somebody to walk through something like that. And when it first happened, we weren't sure if we were going to talk about it, because we didn't want to play on that. But at the same time, if we can help somebody and show them that the Lord can bring them through this stuff, and that you can overcome addiction, and it's just it's an awful thing, but it's something that can be beat, and it's something that we can overcome.
Your bandmates in the Perrys actually confronted you about this, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They came to me and said, hey, it's been brought to our attention that you have an issue. And it's something that they knew I'd struggled with for some time. But came to me, and they were kind enough to say, what would you like to do? We really can't have you on the road. What would you like to do? And I said, well, to be honest, I should probably resign. I said, honestly, I'd like to get some help. I'd already had a doctor tell me at a pain clinic, we think you might have a problem.
Really? Even your wife knew you had a little problem.
Yeah, she did. Well, it's one of those things where I think she was afraid to confront me. Because when somebody's so addicted to narcotics or anything, then you become very defensive when somebody talks about it or when somebody confronts you.
And your reality is just totally different. You were kind of stuck in a reality that nobody understands,
It was just like a fog.
When you realized that you had a problem, did you try to solve it on your own? Just go cold turkey? How was that?
Absolutely. It was awful. I mean, there were times when I would run out of medication and I would be on the road and it would be hard for me to get out of my bunk in the bus to just go on stage. I mean, I was so sick, and I really should have been. Come to find out, when you're detoxing, you're supposed to be in a hospital. I didn't know that.
Really?
I would detox on the road sometimes, not by choice, but because I was out of pills, and just awful, just sweating and just sick to my stomach, and just could barely move. And my body, it was as much a physical dependency as it was anything else.
Wow. So your new album called Welcome Home, this is really a personal project for you because it really is about overcoming this addiction. How are all the songs connected?
Well, it was one of those things where the album was kind of birthed out of that experience. When I got help, I went to a wonderful treatment facility called Cumberland Heights, and I lived there for 30 days, and checked out and did 5 weeks outpatient, did 90 meetings in 90 days, got a great sponsor, and then out of that I started writing this music. Started writing with some great writers in Nashville, and this album is really a labor of love, and it's really was birthed out of this tragedy, if you will. But at the same time, it's got so much hope in it, so much encouragement, and that's what I love about this record. It's helped me.
And you want to take that a step further and actually help more people in the church.
Absolutely.
And you're saying specifically in the church to help people who are addicted.
But we'll do some concerts as well with other artists. But most of the stuff is church stuff, and I love the church. I love the local church. I love the body of Christ, and I love the fact that I now have this to be able to relate with other people, not just Christians, but there's a guy in Nashville right now who just messaged me, saw me on TV and said, "Hey man, I'm going to be in Nashville at a rescue mission trying to get off heroin. Will you come see me?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to come see you." And I was able to visit him. And I got a kid that I'm kind of help sponsoring who's in Texas. And so that kind of stuff, I didn't really understand addiction. I grew up with a brother who was an addict, and I hated it. I hated addiction. And really,
so you never really recognized that you had this problem, and I mean, the interesting thing is that you wanted to get off this addiction, and you really couldn't. And how has your faith played into that?
Well, I think it's one of those things where you just have to say, "Okay, God, I have to fully rely on you in this moment because you are bigger than this, but I am not. My flesh is weak." But you have the capability. You just have to really place it in God's hands. And I remember sitting in treatment, going to bed every night, and just finally starting to read my Bible again for the first time, starting to create a prayer life every night and be able to pray. I didn't talk to God. I didn't think God wanted to talk to me. I was high most of the time.
Even though you were a gospel singer?
Yeah, I really didn't think. I thought, you know what? I'm singing on stage 2 hours a night. We're good. I'm singing about you. It was that
good
thing.
enough for me.
Yeah, it's just a really.
I clocked it in. It's all right.
Yeah, it's like the devil plays these, especially when you're under the influence. You have all these crazy thoughts and think, we're good. And the devil uses that, I think, to really draw you away from the Lord. But man, it was just to come out of that and to see where I've come from, to see where I am today. I think it's been 535 days that I've been sober, and which is not, it's not a long time to most people, but to an addict, that's 530 days without the thing that you loved for so long.
It's great. You want to check out your website, Joseph Habedank. What is your website?
JosephHabedank.com.
JosephHabedank.com. There it is. You want to check out the album, Welcome Home, and best of luck and blessings for you on this
Lauren,
new venture.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor.
And thank you for joining us on A Spirited Debate.